talked to quite a few yesterday and past couple of days. As you know, there's a new substitute that you have. And basically, Mr. Chair, if that's okay, I'm going to read kind of what the substitute what is and the corrections or whatever else, additions to it, and then read some quick supporting evidence regarding that. First thing we're talk about, what I mentioned to quite a few of you, is about putting it behind the pharmacy counter. This is where you can ask the pharmacist questions if you need to. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. And that's one of the things I learned from a leading researcher at the University of Florida. He's conducted research, Oliver Grundmann, on kratom. I mentioned him the other day, and quote unquote, he says, as I mentioned, if there's we talked on the phone first and followed up an email. As I mentioned, if there's a way to regulate the kratom should be sold, my suggestion would be to limit them to sale at pharmacy stores where a pharmacist is present to be consulted. Now, I think that would be better than a gas station clerk. That is around line 228.
Chelsea, are you working on?
I apologize. I am working on LC 52107-0S, 1070S. They This is the one I gave the office yesterday.
.1070 is the version that Representative Townsend has provided and is testifying to here. Okay, you can continue.
Okay. This banned synthetics, if you look at lines 24 through 36, it protects the natural leaf. That's line 114. I think that's been the most contentious part about this whole process is the natural leaf. So it does protect the natural leaf. Provides for a real-time logging system. This may be the only difference in what we talked about. I mentioned it verbally to a group yesterday. But this is basically the same thing as treat, I believe it's something like Allegra D or Sudafed, stuff like that, where it's behind the counter. So it's actually a tracking system. We have a bill in another part of the House that talks about ag doing it. That hasn't come out yet. So this is kind of the same. This would be a good way to kind of track it for them. And so this provides a logging system. That's lines 57 through 82. The pharmacy board gave me the language, how they do it. So we're going strict by the law. No new expenses, no added expenses, no cost to this because it's already being done. So we wouldn't need appropriations to staff a couple investigators or things like that. This is already being done. Allow for online sales. This is a big contentious. I've had 2 Georgia callers. One was a retired Marine colonel. 2 Georgia callers who said protect the natural leaf. They also want it protected, and they thought it was a good idea about purchasing it this way and online. They do theirs online, so you can still purchase it through online. It would just be through a licensed Georgia pharmacist. That way, they can still consult either by video, either in, talking on the phone, whatever how they do it. That's totally up to them. That's line 119. We want to make sure you do not need a prescription for this. You do not. Same offenses as current law. Precautionary statements on label, line 223. Added stuff like the pregnancy bit. One of the things we found out through current research through University of Florida and Georgia still wants to ban it, but they can live with this bill. The UGA Pharmacy School. One of the things we learned through research is people on high blood pressure medicine shouldn't take it. Seizure medicine shouldn't take it. Pregnant women shouldn't take it. Make sure they know about that. That's why we have the pharmacists there to ask questions to if they wish. They don't have to. We're not forcing anybody to do that, but they can if they want. As advertising restrictions, line 274. The researcher also, Oliver Grumman also, Dr. Grumman also mentioned what I just said before about consulting with the healthcare professional before you start this. Again, the biggest things right now is we put the cart before the horse. Usually, in people the way use Kratom, they would usually have a ton of research available, and everybody would say, "Okay, it's safe. We've had human trials. Let's put it out there." We haven't done that yet. Research is beginning. It is beginning, so we're not outlawing it. Still have access to it, and that is a Reader's Digest version, but it is the changes. And we did leave out accidentally. I looked at one word. Concentrations. If we get this through, anybody wants to do an amendment, that's just to strengthen the synthetic piece banning. It was left out. That was my fault. I didn't include the word, so it would just be in 2 or 3 different spots. But other than that, that is the basis of the bill, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Got a question, Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can I have 2 questions? Okay. The first one is, I'm just trying to understand, so line 20 through 22, so we're banning the synthetics and the derivatives, and we're taking the Pure Leaf and putting it behind the counter in pharmacies.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I misunderstood when we had this discussion yesterday, because I don't want the Pure Leaf behind the counter. Would you be open to putting the synthetics or derivatives behind the pharmacy counter and having a carve out for Pure Leaf so that it can remain accessible to people in gas stations?
No. Now, and then we talked yesterday. The pharmacist, as this research stated, really would like someone to be consulted if they want to ask. The gas station clerk isn't the right person to ask about, is this safe for me? He doesn't know I'm a blood pressure medicine. I doubt if they can tell you. A lot of times it's some kid out of high school. Or it could be someone else, but probably not a doctor or a pharmacist behind that gas station counter. But thank you for the question.
Okay. All right. See no other questions from members of the committee. If you want to take a seat over there
Yes,
at
sir.
the edge of the table. We've got several people, or Vice Chairman Hong has a
Representative, before you leave, what did you say you left out? I missed the,
It's the word concentrations. It's under section 5, and I believe in new line 205, be line 204, then after 21 and 34. That's just to make sure the synthetics are banned. And I think that's what FDA is trying to do now, and the other bill in the House is trying to do the same thing, is ban synthetics.
so where would that word go in? I'm sorry.
205, let me get there. Okay. Actually, if you look at line 21, it talks about such term. It starts in 20. Such term includes any synthetics, seismic derivatives, alkaloid derivatives, and analogs. It would go after analogs. And then 30, it would add it after analogs, where on line 21, it talks about the
What word is missing? What do you want to add there?
concentrations.
Okay, thank you. And other areas that
it-
may mention that is what you're
Correct.
saying. Thank
Yeah,
you.
anything related to that. Thank you.
I have several signed up for this. We still have some pretty big bills that we have to get to today. So here's what I have to do to be expedient at this 11th hour before crossover. I'm going to give you a minute. Get as much as you can done within that minute, and I'm going to enforce that very strictly. Okay. Let's see. First up, I have Mac. Come on down.
Great. My name is Matt Caddo, Senior Fellow of the American Kratom Association. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for this opportunity to address this. 1 minute's crazy because you heard all that testimony last hearing, including why we weren't here. There was something said by Mr. Weatherington that directly is false, saying that the AK has paid people to send you emails. That is not true, and you should weigh the credibility of what Mr. Weatherington said after that. The important takeaway today is kratom is not 7-hydroxymetrogene. All of the unfortunate the adverse events and deaths you hear about, and you don't have to believe me, are attributable to the synthetics. And Representative Townsend Bill doesn't do the right thing here because he's blaming kratom for it. Current law under the KCPA protects people with product formulations. That's what your law today does. It also restricts synthetics. Your law does it, and it does it effectively. We would welcome more enforcement on it. That's an important part. Mr. Weatherington held up all of the long labeling restrictions that are on kratom products. It's because of his predatory litigation. They're defensively labeling it. People should know what they're taking, and they should know what the ingredients are, and they should be able to make an intelligent decision based on that. Here's the most important takeaway. The state of science today is the U.S. government has spent $100 million on kratom. Nora Volko, the director of NIDA, says you should have it accessible in gas stations. The FDA, HHS, and NIDA all say kratom deaths are rare. When they do occur, it's because of polydrug use and adulterated products.
Mac, I'm going to have to stop, but you might be able to get some of that out through questioning. Representative Kendrick.
I just wanted to clarify that AKA you meant the American Kratom Association, because I'm a member of a sorority that has
Oh, I'm
those
sorry.
acronyms. So I just wanted to clarify. just to clarify that.
We would welcome merging with you, but it's the American Kratom Association.
Representative Bill Fincher.
You admit then, though, you work for a company, or you're a part of an association, and you're trying to get it accessible, more accessible. You're trying to open the door to kratom to more people.
We represent the more than 24 million American consumers that consume kratom, and the hundreds of thousands here in Georgia. We work with companies who are willing to be regulated.
The companies that you work for,
I don't
you
work
work with them. Okay, what you have a number of items there you were trying to show us. What are those items?
Okay, thank you. This is a sublingual strip made by a 7-OH manufacturer which bypasses your gut, where kratom works. This is a concentrated synthetic, semi-synthetic
And that's
product.
dangerous.
It should be banned. It is. The FDA says it's
All right.
dangerous.
What else
They've
you have
recommended it for scheduling. Okay, this is a pseudodoxil product. It's made from mitragynine and then 7-hydroxymetrogene. It is pseudodoxil. It should be banned. But this is what.
And how is
Representative
it ordinarily presented? Okay.
Yeah, this is where Representative Townsend gets it wrong. This is what should be done. Strengthen the synthetic, semi-synthetic. But this says mitragynine pseudodoxil. And here's the killer, and literally, MGM 14 and 15. This is where they're now chemically taking the plant material and they're converting it. So a 7-OH product is not kratom, and yet this bill treats it as though, and all of the adverse events and deaths that you hear, every adverse event is reported to the FDA, every single one, and they evaluate it. And today the FDA says natural kratom leaf products are not our problem. It shouldn't be behind a pharmacy counter. It should be accessible to people. It is these
Do you have any,
synthetics.
may I ask another question, Mr. Chairman? You have any documents where they say it has been proven that that's not the same thing, or?
Oh, yes, sir.
You got a document? Oh, I don't see one. Nobody's presented us one.
Well, we will certainly present it to you. On the FDA and 7-OH website, you will see a whole array of documents that have been submitted to the Drug Enforcement Administration with the direction from the FDA and HHS that they should ban Schedule 1 synthetic 7-OH and its synthetic, these other things. They want to ban it. But here's the problem. I brought this box of dots. I'm sorry.
Has kratom, even the leaf form, ever been approved by the FDA?
It's a dietary supplement, and when you heard testimony last week, misstates completely. It is not a drug. It has not been approved as a drug because no one submitted it to be a drug. It is an approved, regulated, FDA-regulated dietary
And I
supplement.
interrupted you. You were going to show us something in that box.
Yeah, this is the hysteria that has been created in the state of Georgia. In Walker County, there were 5 children that were hospitalized because they had ingested a gummy product, and the emergency room doctors in Walker County all reported it was kratom. I asked the Walker County Sheriff if he would send to the University of Florida, which he did. They tested no kratom. 116 other drugs, no drugs. What happened was these kids were ingesting these dots, not these particular ones. The box of dots was delivered. When you ingest dots too soon, the sugar that is in the product creates dizziness, it creates vomiting and diarrhea, and it sedates you. That's what these kids presented with. And yet doctors in the emergency room in Walker County all said this was kratom. This is the hysteria that's been created around some of the narratives that you've heard, and it has to stop. These are the culprits.
Now, I'm going to interrupt you just a second. If I can ask another question. But you're not a doctor.
No, sir.
No further questions.
Okay, let's see, number 6, Representative Pinch.
Thank you. Are there contraindications between the natural leaf? Like, is there, if I'm on high blood pressure medicine, can I use the leaf without any problems?
So under federal law, any supplement has to have a reasonable basis for safety under conditions of use. That's the threshold for entering the marketplace. What the FDA does under their adverse event reporting system is they take every adverse event, including if someone has taken kratom that has hypertension, high blood pressure, they analyze whether there is a cluster of adverse events or deaths that are associated with kratom. And then if so, they will order the manufacturer of the blood pressure drug to put a black box warning on their product that says, do not take this product with kratom. That's what happens. So there's been no such edict from the FDA after extensively studying this. Is it possible that someone would have a contraindication? Yes. And if that happens, it will get reported to the FDA, and they will evaluate it for whether there needs to be a black box warning. But the warnings that we advocate for, pregnant women should not use kratom. Breastfeeding mothers should not use kratom. We think people that take and look at the label will be able to see, including the one Mr. Weatherington showed you, which had all kinds of advisories, consult with your doctor. These are all appropriate. We're fine with that. But you don't mandate it, and you don't put it behind a pharmacy counter like you do for cold medicines that they are over-the-counter medications that previously were drugs, and now they have OTC status. That's appropriate for a pharmacy. This is a dietary supplement. Go to your GNC store. Go to your dietary supplement store, and the people can find all that they want about kratom from the labeling, which is where they should actually get that advice.
Thank you.
Representative Neal.
Thank you to the chair. And I just wanted to thank you for returning again. I want to direct my questions or my remarks to my colleague across from me. Luckily, you are not here to engage in all the fun times we had with kratom a little while back. And during that time, some of the things that you're asking for, all the documentation or what have you, that was provided to us in vast amounts. And it has been presented to us, like, for instance, like vitamins, weight loss drugs, those types of things are not approved by the FDA. And because during those times, during those debates, when we were talking about the fact that there has not been enough research to determine one way or another, that's why we decided to regulate versus do a prohibition in the past years. So this now is taken to another level, and probably why you don't see all the documents now is everyone knows that this committee is more than familiar. We might be experts now on kratom, so that's why you don't see that here today.
Mr. Chairman, could I clarify one thing? The federal government requires what's called an 8-factor analysis to evaluate whether any substance should be subject to Schedule 1. The FDA has on 2 occasions submitted to the DEA that mitragynine, which is the principal alkaloid, should be a Schedule 1 drug, once in 2016 and again in 2018. Both times, the evaluation of those 8 factors, which is the standard, said it's not subject to that kind of regulation, is not a Schedule 1 drug, and the World Health Organization through the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs came to the same conclusion with 12 independent experts. So there's ample evidence that is done by doctors, by researchers, by specialists around the world and the United States. It is not appropriate for scheduling, and you adopt here in Georgia the same standard. If there were credible evidence that this should be scheduled, it would be done by your Board of Pharmacy or by your health department using the appropriate standard for those 8 factors.
Okay, see no other questions. All right, next I have Patrick Phillips. Excuse me, that's doctor, correct?
I'm a doctor of pharmacy.
Okay. All right, want to make sure we got that right. Go ahead.
Appreciate it. I've previously testified on behalf of the Georgia Poison Center. I'm a clinical toxicologist and emergency medicine clinical pharmacist here in Atlanta. And the Georgia Poison Center serves the good people of the entire state of Georgia. And I'm happy to answer any questions about kratom toxicity, what it affects, how it works. But I just want to reiterate some of the data that we have from our state. Since 2021, over 500 cases of kratom toxicity have been reported to us, and that represents a 66% increase between 2022 to 2025 alone. Nationally, the number of exposures resulting in serious medical outcome requiring extensive medical intervention has been increasing about 5% year over year. There's been a 400% increase between 2024 and 2025 in pediatric exposures, kids under 5, to kratom and kratom products. And these numbers include reports of major medical effects and documented fatalities. And just to speak from a pharmacist's perspective, I definitely agree with the bill. A pharmacist is in a unique position to educate patients on potential drug interactions or interactions with any conditions that they currently have. So, I fully support, and the Georgia Poison Center fully supports any way to decrease the number of exposures that we're seeing in Georgians, and then increasing the safety for people who still choose to use the substance. And I would also like to suggest an amendment to add to the labeling requirements the number for the Poison Center. 1-800-222-1222 is the national number. If you are in Georgia, it will get routed to the Georgia Poison Center, and we are trained experts in how to manage kratom toxicity and kratom withdrawal. Thank you, and I'll happy to answer any questions that the committee has.
You've got a few. Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You referenced kratom as a substance and a drug during your testimony. And then I just previously heard, and I was on the committee when we heard this last time, so I've heard days of testimony on this. I just want to take what you said, because I think we all can agree the manufactured version, not the pure leaf, are two different, well, maybe they're not to you, but we can all agree that the part that changes it from the pure leaf is bad. Like we're all in agreement on that that's extremely dangerous. What I want to understand is, in those cases that you cited that are increasing over time, is there any way to know whether it was pure leaf or the other bad stuff?
So it's very difficult to get that granular with the data. I think passing this bill would certainly greatly increase the quality of the data, given that we could electronically track the different products being sold. And by doing that, we could create codes to individually track exposures to those certain products if they are reported to the Poison Center, at least. Or if you wanted to query that data, I think it's through GBI who will be tracking this, just to see what is being sold. That would allow for more granular data. Currently, as it stands, APCU, which is the overarching body for poison centers, they're the ones who create product codes. And because, as you can imagine, nationally, so many different products are popping up almost on a daily basis. It's so hard to track with granularity exactly what products these patients are being exposed to. But we do right now have a generic code just for kratom that unfortunately does include. Well, we have an emerging code for 7-hydroxymetragine. Obviously, that's seems to be the biggest threat currently. But on a weekly to monthly basis, we try to update these codes and try to get more granular with the data. It's just very difficult because it's very self-reporting right now.
May I have a follow-up? So the previous witness said that it is a natural supplement, not categorized as a drug. Are there any other natural supplements that at the poison control you see have this level of impact on people's?
Off the top of my head, not with this breadth. Something that's marketed as a quote-unquote natural substance or like a supplement causing this much profound toxicity and widespread. Certainly there are supplements available, if you go down to GNC, that in very large amounts, we know they can cause certain toxicities, things that affect the liver, things that'll affect the kidneys. But those are just so few and far between because people, aren't necessarily using them, certainly for recreational purposes, and are using them in larger and larger amounts, which is kind of typical of people using kratom. They, you can build a tolerance to it, and so you tend to require more and more, as time goes on. But
Gotcha.
I would say this one's by far the most common, if you want to say supplement, that we would get called on.
Thank you, Representative Fincher.
You mentioned pediatric exposures.
Yes, sir.
Then that's a rising trend.
400% in the last year alone, yes.
What kind of injuries that are related to that pediatric exposure?
Most commonly, depressed mental status to the point of coma. We've seen seizures, children getting intubated. We have not had a reported pediatric death, thank goodness, yet. I would have to look into the literature if they're, specific to the pediatric population, how many unfortunate fatalities we've had. But these are, we definitely get reported serious outcomes.
Madam Chairman, another follow-up.
Yes.
You don't have no way of knowing if that was leaf or whether that was the more derivative form.
As it stands right now, sir, no. Again, unfortunately, right now it's self-reported. The product that the certain patient would be exposed to, and even if they say, oh, this is XYZ product that says it's X milligrams. I mean, we really can't be certain. There's no quality control measures mandated. And if mandated, I'm unaware of strict enforcement of that.
One follow-up on that. I guess I want to ask you an opinion. You being a doctor of pharmacy, you'd be an expert of sorts in this area, and you're agreeing that the substitute is much better than wide open use. That's what you're telling us in your testimony. If the substitute were in place, that would be much better than what we're experiencing now with wide open use at the gas station.
Yeah, 100%.
The question I want to ask, though, if I might follow up with that, if you were going to make a recommendation, period, would you prefer to recommend absolutely no kratom or to do something different, to make it possible to be available and where it could be exposed, where children could be exposed to it?
I previously testified in support of a full ban, and I still agree with that. But if that is obviously not supported, I think this is a good next best step. The toxicity aside, the kratom can act synergistically with multiple medications that patients are on. So just from a clinical effect perspective, for example, if a patient has ADHD and they're on a stimulant to treat that ADHD, kratom at low doses has stimulatory properties. Those could act synergistically and cause tachycardia, hypertension, et cetera, but also it interacts with many cytochrome P450 enzymes in the liver, which is responsible for the majority of biotransformation and metabolism of many drugs. And so patients could be on something completely unrelated, and with kratom inhibiting certain P450 enzymes could cause toxic concentrations of prescription medications that they are already on.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the questions. Thank you. Next is Peter Guffner. Guffner.
He hasn't given permission to.
Squeeze him a little behind you.
Pressure plate. Go ahead.
Hey everyone, hang on, let me get to my notes. My name is Peter Goffner, and my husband passed away from kratom. He unknowingly mixed it with a Monster Energy drink, and it was sold to him under a false pretense of a natural product. And when I sit up here and I listen to them talk about it, say natural product, and I hear all the rest of the testimony, I'm in agreement. If we have to land that it's behind the pharmaceutical line, then I can land there. But I truly believe a full ban needs to be put in place before we go any further, because if people are dying from something, then we need to take a moment and why are they dying? Look at why they're dying. Go Google it. Go chat GPT it. It will tell you. I'm going to tell you this really quick. When he was asked in the deposition, the people that sold it to him, okay, they asked him, why did you, when Mr. Goffner bought the product, did he ask you if there was any indication of any mixing with it? And he said, oh no, he didn't ask. And he said, well, he didn't ask, so you're on a don't ask, don't tell basis? He said, well, yeah, we're on a don't ask, don't tell basis. That's what the owner of the CBD store said to him. Don't ask, don't tell. They do not even know. The people that are running these stores do not know how to, the convenience stores, they don't know. In fact, I did a study. I went in there and I put a kratom and a Monster drink up on the counter, and she said she was ready to check me out. And I said, you're ready to check me out? And I said, do you know what that is? And she said, I don't even know what that is. I told her what happened. She said, oh my gosh, I don't even want to say that. So the people running the gas station, knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen. Knowledge is power. And if we don't know the knowledge behind what's going on with kratom, then we can't stop. We can't save people. Please help us save kids. Please stop believing. My daughter is fatherless because of kratom. And if kratom, then take kratom out of certain things. Kratom is the bottom line of what we're talking about here today. And if kratom wasn't in these products, I wouldn't be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you have one question. Representative Holly.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you for loving your husband enough to at least let us know that his life was certainly of value. My question, as you said, knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that had your husband been able to see some type of disclaimer on the product,
Yes.
and knowing that of its effects, that would have that been helpful to him in terms of making the right decision as to whether to use it or not to use it?
I truly believe, thank you for your question as well. I truly believe that, because I think back in 2020, there was not anything like that on the labeling. And so with that said, I think a lot of people, if they were to read certain things, again, knowledge is power. If you know what's in it and what could possibly happen, and if I can take it a step further, you can't even mix certain kratoms with kratom. You can't even mix one kratom with another kratom. It's lethal. And again, there's a lady that was sitting at a Starbucks coffee shop or a coffee shop, and her son or daughter put the kratom in a tea, which is a stimulant. And 20 minutes later, it goes seizure, stroke, and cardiac arrest. And so to tell my daughter her dad was not coming home because negligence of a store that didn't have knowledge. And they asked the store owner, and to your point, in the deposition, my attorneys asked the store owner, how did you learn about kratom? How did you learn to sell it? His response was, oh, I was sitting at a stoplight and saw a sign that says, sell kratom, make money.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions. Thank you for your
Thank you,
testimony.
everyone. Have a good day.
Next is Jake Damian. Damien? Good morning.
I prepared a statement ahead of time.
Sure.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jake. I'm a lifelong resident of Georgia, Georgia Tech graduate, and a Falcons fan. I'm here to respectfully ask that you reconsider the current language of HB 968 as it relates to Kratom. As written, this bill would schedule all Kratom products, including natural, normal-strength Kratom leaf. I urge you to amend the bill so that it specifically addresses only high-strength 7-OH products and not traditional leaf products in their natural form. I've been taking natural Kratom leaf for 9 years, and it has had a profoundly positive impact on my life. Alcoholism runs in my family, and in my 20s, alcohol use was really negatively impacting my life. Kratom, in combination with some good counseling, helped me to stop drinking altogether, and I'm proud to say I have not drank alcohol in 8 years and am employed as an aerospace engineer here in Georgia. Natural Kratom leaf is a tremendous benefit to my life. My mother could not be here today. She doesn't live very close, but asked me to include a brief statement about her as well. She has had chronic back pain for years. She uses natural Kratom leaf to help her manage her pain naturally without having to turn back to the pain pills from her doctor, and she considers herself much better off for it. An outright ban would directly harm her and many others who rely on this healthy, natural option to maintain their quality of life. Natural Kratom leaf is very mild and beneficial, and in my opinion, not harming anyone. It has been sold in Georgia for 15 years without issues. It's the new high concentration extracts that are being sold that are the issue. I support regulation, I support age restrictions, labeling requirements, and specifically addressing high potency extracts, but banning or restricting natural normal strength Kratom leaf alongside concentrated extracts would really harm many responsible adults across Georgia, like me and my mother, and classifying natural Kratom leaf as a Schedule I drug would have an even larger negative impact. I ask that the committee please consider amending this bill so it focuses only on high-strength extracts above a certain concentration of 7-OH or modified, or voting no to the bill altogether. Thank you for your time, your service to our state, and for considering my perspective.
Thank you. You have one question, Chairman Crow.
Thank you. Over here. Hey, thank you for being here. Where do you get your natural?
Online.
Okay, and how are you able to verify the that it is natural and that it's not containing other things? Or I mean, what?
Well, natural.
I'm curious as to where your confidence comes from in the product, and I'm just trying to. Before 2 years ago, I didn't even know this stuff existed, and now I've heard from a fellow from a society. So now,
so natural Kratom leaf is it's like it's a powder, and it's very mild. The only thing that really causes problems are these really high strength concentrated extracts that they're making, which I perfectly agree should be banned. But in its natural form, it's hard to take enough to to actually. I mean, you'd have to take an insane amount. So, granted, I have tried different online places. Some is better than others. Part of it has come with experience. I think better labeling requirements would help with that testing and things like that. But look, as long as I can still order natural Kratom online without a bunch of hoops to jump through, I'll be happy.
okay, thank you. Yeah, that's my concern is just the quality and consistency of what folks are getting. I think is a big problem. So thank you.
Understood.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You actually have one more question, Representative Hawley.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I thank you for your personal testimony. This is, as you can see, it's a tough issue. Took one life and preserved another. You're here not only on your own accord. You said there's others that also have taken the amount that you've taken who are.
My mother.
Your mother has.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think you did say within your testimony that if it had proper labeling, that there is an exorbitant amount, or that from what you've known that there's if you're taking an exorbitant amount beyond what you have normally taken that you've seen, or can you attest to there being some harsh effects?
I wouldn't say harsh effects. It's just you'll get tired and fall asleep. I've never had a negative reaction from taking natural Kratom leaf, but The extracts are obvious. They're the crazy extracts that are being sold now they're not the same thing. It's clear, totally different.
What makes it most obvious? Because I think,
It's like 1,000 times stronger. And
but do you know that since you don't know that based upon ingesting it, is that something
I've tried one or some of the extracts once or twice, and they weren't for me.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Next is Michelle Ross.
Okay, thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Dr. Michelle Ross. I am an addiction scientist and one of the leading researchers on Kratom and 7-OH in the country, and author of the book, Kratom is Medicine. I strongly oppose HB 968 and any amendments that would criminalize 7-OH. In Georgia. So I want to clear up some things here. One, every single Kratom consumer has 7-OH in their body. It's not a crazy novel synthetic opioid. It is actually found in the Kratom leaf. And again, 24% of the metrogenine in Kratom is turned into 7-OH in the body. So it's a metabolite. So all the Kratom consumers, which is 7% of Americans, are actually using Kratom. It's actually very widespread. There's over 660,000 residents of Georgia using Kratom. So it's a big population. We're not seeing a crisis. When you look at the poison control data, you actually see that only 0.06% of poison control calls involve Kratom. There are 0 deaths attributed to 7-OH in the United States. Matt Cowdow unfortunately told you some misinformation. The United States government also declined to schedule 7-OH in 2016 and 2019. While they did recommend it being scheduled, it is based on some false information. And recommending it does not mean it actually be scheduled. It has to go through the process. And again, twice it was declined. It may be declined again this third time. I want to present just really quickly some research.
Doctor, I've got to enforce this real quick, but I do have a question. Maybe this will help.
I'm sorry. Why did you let some of the other experts talk for so long, and I can't even talk?
I'm
sorry. That seems
we'll
not
get
right.
through questions.
Okay.
Will
Okay.
hopefully
Thank you.
elicit what you're trying to get through. And just so you know, I have a rules committee meeting, which members of this committee have to be at 11 o'clock. If I could give you until midnight, I would. I assure you that. So, as far as the research, the chair had a question. There's been a lot of research presented over the last, going on 3 years now, to members of the committee. My question is this, and what you've seen as far as the federal government and what they have done. Have you seen the federal government schedule just the synthetics using this chemical composition of the leaf, or have they also or banned the leaf as well as the synthetics?
So the FDA has not approved either Kratom leaf or 7-OH. It also has not scheduled either of those substances.
Okay. What about neither the synthetics?
Again, I'm going to disagree that it's synthetic, but they have not scheduled 7-OH.
Okay. All right. Let's see, Chairman Crow.
Thank you. You talked about researching this, and you've obviously spent a lot of time. What is your area of practice? What type of doctor are you? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm a neuroscientist who specializes in addiction, and for the last 14 years, I've helped chronic pain patients and worked as a harm reductionist, helping them understand how to use Kratom for chronic pain and minimize risk with interactions with other medications, etc. Again, because this isn't a drug, this is not necessarily, regulated by pharmacists yet. Obviously, I agree that this should probably be under the purview of pharmacists. I believe that 7-OH, in addition to Kratom products, should be, dealt with pharmacists rather than, I was doing this because no one else was actually helping the patients, and I wanted to reduce harm.
Okay. And so you're a PhD,
I am a PhD, yes, and
Not a-
I have some other certifications,
but
yes.
not a medical doctor.
No, I'm not a medical doctor.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee? All right, seeing none, thank you.
Okay,
and
thank
we
you.
appreciate your time here today. All right. I don't know if I have anybody else signed up that we hadn't got to, but I think, just for clarification, Mr. Robert Smith with PAC to explain some of the drafting changes.
I'm not going to miss this chair. I'm not going to miss this room. I'm not going to miss this desk. And I wish Representative Roberts was here because, to Representative Neal's point, 2018 is when you started this. There were 2 study committees in 2018. And this kratom has been an issue for that long and has been all sorts of different directions. I want to thank Representative Townsend, worked with him on language, and I don't see any of the problems that I've discussed with you previously in this current language, and I'll stand for any questions.
So this substitute has alleviated the concern of us abrogating our authority under the 10th Amendment to the federal government. As far as just tying it to whatever the feds decide, then we automatically implement as far as...
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we did away with that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 14, Representative Fincher.
You heard the testimony about having poisonous warnings on there.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree with that should be on any of the product?
Personally, as a citizen of the state of Georgia, I was moved by that testimony. But I'm also not a legislator.
Thank you.
I know how people like to sit here and talk about they're not a lawyer. I'm not a legislator.
You have a Juris Doctorate, not a medical doctorate, correct?
And as the chairman knows, we call ourselves doctors for the period of time where you get your cap and gown to the moment you get your diploma, and then afterwards, never again.
I do indeed remember that.
My mother, who's a PhD, reminds me that she's the real doctor in the family.
Understood. All right, number 11.
I won't ask you a question on your opinion on policy because I know that's, as you like to refer, that's for us to decide, right?
Yes, sir.
But just what we're doing now, I guess it looks like in Section 2, we're adding all of the derivatives or synthetics or any of these other, anything that's not natural kratom leaf, we're putting it under Schedule 1. And then the natural kratom leaf we're putting behind the counter, so to speak, having pharmacist involvement, right?
That would be consistent also with what you're doing with the problems we're dealing with hemp and marijuana, and with what y'all did with the benzodiazepines, that we started running into problems with synthetics. There are some very, very brilliant people who have decided to, rather than follow the law, find ways around the law, as you are aware from your previous life as well, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
See no other questions. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
All right. You were wanting to testify to this. Didn't want to leave you out. I'll get to you once we finish up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead when ready.
Okay. So since I know I have a very short time and I'm here as a kratom consumer as well as a botanical bar owner. So when we talk about kratom, we also talk about COAs. That's where you were talking about, checking it, verifying, doing lab results. I have all of our labs right here with me if anybody would like to look at them, because kratom, Mitragenia speciosa, is not the problem. It's the synthetic 7.0 problem. That's the problem. Our labs are tested. They're tested when they come into the United States to verify with the FDA. Then we have to test them once we brew them to sell them. They come in from Indonesia. It's like 0.01 with 7.0 by the time we're brewed, which is just with water, and kratom leaf, it actually comes back nothing shown at all. And I have all the documentation here to prove from our labs out of California. But again, I'm here as a consumer and as a bar owner. The fatalities noted, the products generally are illicit. There's other illicit products in there. I'm from Rome, Georgia, Floyd County, and they were actually given a notice, sorry, I'm nervous, given the notice about the kratom ban bill, and they were for it. It made headlines in the newspaper. We reached out, spoke with the city manager, explained the difference between 7.0 and natural kratom. He had no idea of the difference.
And real quick, hopefully we can elicit the rest of this through testimony. When you say he didn't realize, who do you mean?
Sammy Rich. He is the city manager of Rome, Floyd County.
And
he didn't know anything about, 7.0. He knew about apparently the fatalities. That's what he was presented with, the bill and all the fatalities coming behind 7.0, which, again, as a botanical bar owner and a consumer, I'm anti these synthetic drugs. They're strong, they're dangerous. We do not sell them in our bar at all. We're a zero alcohol bar, so we serve kratom. We also serve kava. Kava is a part of the black pepper family. And then we serve botanical mocktails. You probably see them all over social media. 3 spirits, they're adaptogenics, but they're all different drinks. So those that still want that social life, kind of the bar experience, but don't want to go to the alcohol establishments, or they're no longer drinking, they come into our establishment. It's kind of like a big community, a big fellowship. When Alabama decided to ban the kratom itself, since banning, it's been a bigger problem because of the black market. They've had more arrests and, again, seeking the black market. From 2022 to 2024, between 27 and 29 million people ages 12 and over suffer alcohol use disabilities and disorder.
Okay. And so, was anybody prosecuted in Floyd County?
No, not to my knowledge. We've been here 4 years, and in 4 years, we have not had any issues come out of our establishment. We've never had the police called because there was a fight, there were weapons, none of that. We did have recently call the police out. We have a switch game system. Somebody came in and stole controllers, and they even noted that. We're never in here. This is a really nice place. They check it out because it looks like a bar, but without the alcohol. There's no alcohol in there.
Okay. I see no other questions from the committee. Thank you for coming down to testify today. All right, sir. Come on up once.
Good morning. I'll try to make this brief. My name is Gary Clemens. I am a certified natural health practitioner. I do use kratom personally as needed, and I do advise others how to safely use kratom. If you want to ban OH, I will support that in any way you ask me to ban that. But the natural leaf powder should be something that should be incorporated on an individual basis. If the pharmacies, if you put it behind the pharmacies, you're going to create a monopoly on kratom. And people won't have access to it like they have it right now. He did say he'll support online, but eventually, I don't know what the lobbying is for pharmacies in the state of Georgia, but I imagine they're pretty powerful. And eventually they'll whittle away the ability to get it online. You'll drive up the price of kratom. It'll be inaccessible to many people that are getting it right now. Does anybody in this room know what the price of kratom is per kg? Anybody? You do. Okay. So you understand it's already high. Okay. It'll get out of control if the pharmacies get it and exclusively have it. If you want to put OH behind the pharmacy, great. Go right ahead. I advise people that are kind of on the fence about kratom, go ask your physician. Every physician knows about kratom nowadays because of what Johns Hopkins has done and what University of Florida is doing. They're both involved in kratom research. It's very accessible online. So should the state of Georgia be labeling kratom all as one? No, you shouldn't be. But the OH, yes. The synthetics, yes. That's a problem. Okay. And that's adding to the bad name that kratom's getting.
You got a question?
Sure, go right ahead.
Number 3, Representative Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir, for giving your very impassioned testimony here. I was curious, because this is dealing with the severity of the potential of taking it in varying amounts. If this law passes and it does criminalize kratom use, do you believe that you will continue to find that product to take it in order for your own stability?
I can do that right now. That's not a problem for me. Yes, and like she said with Alabama, that's a problem. They're going to find it any way they can get it. To go back to your question about how do you verify that kratom is safe, they're required to test kratom. 15% of the kratom that comes in this country doesn't pass the test. It's too high. So they do have those guidelines in place right now, and everybody that sells kratom should be under those guidelines. Okay, we don't have a kratom patrol in Georgia. Maybe we should have one. Maybe we should have somebody come into the store, to the gas stations. I don't think it should be in gas stations, but I do think online should be. I don't think gas station attendant is obviously not qualified according to what happened to her husband, which is a tragedy. But I think we have to have somebody that can, spot check who's selling kratom. If they're selling it, right now at the gas station, okay, let me see your labeling. What's your labeling said? Do you have it labeled? Do you have any warnings on it? Do you have any saying this is adverse effects? Again, I say that kratom belongs here, the natural leaf. Put it behind the pharmacy counter if they want to continue with the OH, that's fine. Ask the pharmacist or consult your doctor. It's an individual choice to use kratom.
You got another question here. Chairman Crow.
Thank you. Who is it tested by?
There are labs in the United States that can test kratom when it comes in. And there's a couple warehouses that house the main kratom factories. Most of the kratom from this country comes from 70% comes from Indonesia. Okay.
Who requires it to be tested?
We're a KCPA state, correct?
The FDA requires it.
The FDA.
Okay, the FDA requires it. All right.
They're required to test that. If they're going to sell the kratom, they're going to sell to the public, they have to have it tested. It has to be labeled. It has to be enforced. Is it being enforced now? Kind of, sort of.
Right.
But like I said, there's nobody in the state of Georgia that's actually following up on the enforcement.
Well, and I think that's what we've been trying to work towards, is getting some sort of guardrails and getting some sort of handles around this in Georgia. One last question, because I know there's some other folks that may want to ask a question, or some other folks that want to speak, and we've got other things to get to. You'd mentioned you were a certified
natural health practitioner, yes.
Okay. In what and by who?
By Trinity School of Medicine in Indiana. Okay. Not School of Medicine, Trinity School of Natural Health in Indiana. I am certified aromatherapist as well through AromaHead. It's an institute that does aromatherapy certification. I've been using kratom personally for 2 years now. I only use it as needed. And I think there's a lot of people that use kratom as needed. Mm-hmm. Okay.
As needed for what?
Well, I have a business of 31 years that's now on the twilight. I've owned a little successful moving company. I go out and for 2 or 3 hours, I am in such pain that I cannot finish the job. So if I take the strain of green kratom, 4 capsules that I make myself, I can get through that job, and I actually don't have any more pain. It relieves it until I get home, and as one individual testimony, it does. It has a very relaxing, sedative effect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I don't think I have anybody else signed up to testify. Any discussion from members of the committee? All right. Seeing none, what say the committee?
Move to pass.
All right, got a move to pass in a second. Amendments. Vice Chairman Hall.
Got an amendment. As the author had indicated, on line 21, after analogs, comma, insert concentrations, comma, and we'll do the same on line 28, line 35, line 192, and then I thought it was a really good testimony for us to go ahead and include the Georgia Poison Center phone number on the label. So on line 222, take out and And on line 235, insert 9, the Georgia Poison Center phone number, period, and delete insert "and" on at the end of 234.
Okay. You've heard the Hong amendment.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second on the Hong amendment. Any discussion, Representative Kendrick? Is this discussion or? Okay, all right. I'll get back to you. All right. So no further discussion on the Hong amendment. Got a move and a second. All those in favor of the Hong amendment as proposed say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right. Representative Kendrick.
Thank you. I'd like to offer an amendment. So I know that the federal government is working on some of this, so I want to make sure that we stay in line with what they're going to do with regards to synthetics. And I agree that the derivatives and synthetics should be banned, but I have gotten so much testimony from constituents about the benefits of the pure leaf, so I want to preserve access to that. So my amendment is to take my LC that I gave you all, LC 481814S, and I'm not lay at council, so bear with me as I try to do this, but I essentially want to insert the language of line 11 through 29 of my amendment on lines 114 and 115 of the actual bill, so that the there is an exemption for pure leaf having to be put behind pharmacies. And hopefully that it accomplishes.
Just repeat that, what you would be inserting in those lines.
So on line 114 and 115 of the Townsend Amendment, I would be including lines 11 through 29 under the definition of kratom or kratom product as it applies to this amendment. And so it would read on line 114, the kratom or kratom product is, and refer back to lines 11 through 29 of my amendment.
Okay.
And the purpose is to try to still ban the synthetics and the derivatives, but to carve out so that so the pure leaf would be exempt from being behind the counter on pharmacies. And I'm not sure if that accomplishes that, but that's the best I could do in the time that I was allotted.
Okay. Let's see, 14, is that Judge Gunner?
That's me.
Oh,
Just,
Representative Finch.
You're saying in your amendment that you're going to take it away from the pharmacists?
The pure leaf, the derivatives and everything else being banned remains.
Number 11, Chairman Crow.
So you're wanting to put the synthetics behind the counter now and take, because I think, is that not what this is doing if you insert this there? Because that's the way I'm kind of reading what you're doing. And are you deleting everything else, or are you just sticking this in the middle of all the words that are here?
In the middle of it. So it's my understanding that this bill would ban synthetics and derivatives, but it would put the pure leaf behind the pharmacy. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong.
That's what the intent is,
Right.
yes.
So what I'm saying is I would like to take the pure leaf, still ban the derivatives, but I do not want the pure leaf to be behind the pharmacy counter.
Okay. I was reading this doing something different than that. I was reading this, putting this in here, putting those behind the counter, and maybe taking the pure leaf out, so.
Okay, so what Representative Kendrick is attempting to do is to ban all the synthetic and the derivatives other than the pure leaf and put those behind a pharmacy counter.
But what about the pure leaf?
My understanding is that she does not, in her amendment, propose to put the pure leaf leaf itself behind the counter is how I understood her amendment. If I understood the representative's amendment and her purpose.
I'm sorry, say that again?
If that was the understanding, the correct understanding of what you're proposing.
Yes, so essentially I want to take the pure leaf from behind the pharmacy counter and still make it accessible. The synthetics and derivatives, I'm not touching, whatever the bill does. I'm just taking the pure leaf from behind the pharmacy counter.
Okay. All right, any discussion on the amendment? All right, now Representative Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Basically, what that amendment would do, it's an unfriendly amendment, basically, not unfriendly person, great person, but just an amendment. Because basically what that does is put Kratom back over the counter at a gas station, and we just ban 7-OH. It said there'd be no tracking at the pharmacy or anything else. It gets the original bill of basically setting up a safer space for people to buy natural leaf Kratom. I'm not banning natural leaf Kratom. It just goes behind the pharmacy counter. So it would be an unfriendly at this point. And this would contradict everything Georgia Poison Control Center said too, and others.
All right. Any other further discussion from the members of the committee? Seeing none, I got a move on the Kendrick amendment.
Second.
There's a second. All right. All those in favor of the Kendrick amendment, say aye. All right. All those opposed, same sign.
No.
All right. Amendment fails. All right. Any other amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the passage of House Bill 968, LC 52-1070S, as amended with the Hong Amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. No. All right, the ayes have it. You're on the rules.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee.
All right. We have time for one more very, very quickly before we go to break. And what I will say for planning purposes, we have rules at 11. I believe in lunchtime, and good judges like Judge Lawton Stevens back there believes in lunchtime too. So what we will do is we will be leaving here just shortly before 11, so members of rules can get up there. Members that are not on rules also have bills to present. So what we will do is we will come back at 12:30 p.m. So if you want to go sit, stretch your legs. If you're not concerned with this next one, go ahead. All right. Next up, I have Representative or Chairwoman Deborah Silcox, House Bill 242.